You're listening to The Locker Room, your home for professional and Quinnipiac sports.
There is no doubt in my mind at all that the New England Patriots are the best franchise in the NFL in the past 15 years.
You're out!
If Mike Trout can stay on the field, we're looking at one of the best players in Major League Baseball history.
It blows my mind that Kendrick Perkins is still a player in the NBA.
Here are your hosts, Austin Basile, Jason Davis, and Josh Brewer. Good evening, sports fans. Thanks for tuning in to The Locker Room on WQAQ 98.1 FM. Josh Brewer alongside Jason Davis and Austin Basile on this fine Monday, April 13th, the nicest day we've had thus far in Hamden.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Guys, how'd you spend your day today?
Jason?
Well, let's see. I woke up and I went to class.
Jason, the Spark Notes, please.
Yeah.
Spark Notes version.
All right, sorry. We went to a park, us three, along with other friends, played some nice frisbee. We got some ice cream. It was a great day.
It was super nice out today.
I went to work today and then play in the park.
For those who don't know, Austin doesn't go to work very often, so it's a pretty...
What if
his boss is listening?
Oops. But we're glad to be back. We just want to quickly mention Jason and I made some predictions last week.
Yeah, put a lot of money on that game.
For the NCAA tournament. So we both took Wisconsin over Duke. Obviously, that wasn't the case. And then our scores were 2 points apart. I had Wisconsin 68-61. You had Wisconsin 68-59. Mm-hmm. So, score wasn't that off. We just got the wrong team. Because the final was 68-63.
Yeah, so let's just pretend we chose Duke to win.
Yeah, so, I think we did pretty well.
We're great at this. Let's start betting more often.
Yeah,
we didn't actually put any money on the game.
Someone hire us. So, yeah, Duke wins. Coach K, that pretty much cements his spot as probably one of the best, if not the best college coach ever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So good for him in that fact. Kentucky, both Kentucky and Wisconsin, after both teams lost, riots. Not really surprising.
No. College campuses.
Yeah.
Very
you saw
suspected,
Quinnipiac.
Freshman year.
Back when, they beat St. Cloud State to go to the finals, riot. And then they lose to Yale, riot.
Right. Yeah,
Yep.
So, and especially those Kentucky fans, maybe a little spoiled because their team kept winning and they expected to win everything.
Yep.
So I can imagine they were pretty ticked off when the Wildcats were bounced.
Yeah.
So, once again, just a congrats to Duke. Kentucky's going to lose 7 players to the NBA draft.
The whole team's gone.
All first round expected, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So obviously, Cole Anthony Towns, Cauley Steen, the Harrison brothers, the twins. So they're going to have some rebuilding to do.
Yeah, they are.
Indeed.
Going to have to do some recruiting. And, I'm sure they'll be back.
Yeah, they'll get good recruits out of it who will then end up going to the NBA next year. So
Calipari's too good. Did you see what the Wisconsin coach said about one and dones with Duke and Kentucky and teams like that? He basically called them out, saying, we don't do rentals. Because you see all these guys, these high school players, going to 1 year of college at a Duke, at a Kentucky, at a North Carolina or something like that, and then just declaring after 1 year. So he kind of took a jab at them.
Yeah, I think he's just a little...
I think he was a little salty.
Yeah, he was upset after that game.
Yeah. So,
because I'm sure he would love to have kids that can just come in 1 year. It sucks you have to rebuild your team every year, but makes sense. If you can
Wisconsin,
go pro.
I think Kaminsky is going to the draft, Nigel Hayes, Sam Decker. So they're going to have to do some rebuilding as well. So, I'm kind of upset he took jabs at Duke.
Yeah.
Just because you had such a great run. Why tarnish it by now acting like a bad sport?
Yeah, he also blamed he was upset about the refs, and to be honest, they got a favorable they didn't call a shot clock violation on him the game before, which maybe wouldn't have mattered, but it could have, you don't know. So, it goes both ways.
Yeah, there were a couple
they were in favor, they got it.
Yeah, there were a couple plays, I think, that didn't go in Wisconsin's favor. I don't think they were as bad as people are making them out to be. So, and it happens.
Yeah,
you have to play.
Refs.
Yeah, you have to play through it. So I would have liked to see the Badgers fight through that and still find a way to win.
Yeah,
because then that'd be an even better story. But that's not what happened. Moving on to ice hockey, real quick. The Frozen Four just ended, and Providence defeated Boston University 4-3. To secure their championship, and not the Bobcats, sad face.
No.
But this game It was actually 3-2 BU at one point. With just under 9 minutes to go, Providence dumps the puck in.
Yeah.
Routine play in hockey.
And then throw it at the goalie.
They were doing a line change.
Case, you know?
Yep. And the goalie catches it on the fly. Fine. Where he messes up is he doesn't know what to do with it. Either hold it and they'll have a face-off, or dump the puck off behind the net.
Yeah.
So I guess he was just a little confused as to what to do.
But which is weird because it wasn't like he was under pressure. No Providence players were skating towards him where the whistle would blow. They'd let him like hold it for a little bit longer.
Right. So
I don't know what he was doing.
Yeah, no Friars were coming at him, and he just drops the puck in front of him, and it gets underneath his pads.
It just bounces straight back.
And it goes right back into the goal, ties the game up at 3-3. It was his second mental mistake because the previous game, he tried to play a puck, and he passed it to someone on the wrong team, and they scored. So he had a rough couple games, and they got past the first game okay, and then he made another mistake, and this time they weren't so lucky because Providence scored again, and they went on to win 4-3. So Matt O'Connor's the goalie for BU, so he's probably pretty frustrated, probably not talking to anybody because if he doesn't give up that goal, BU is 8 minutes away from winning the national championship.
It's sad because a lot of times when you lose a game, not like that where you caused the thing, but when you lose a game and you can sort of say, oh, it was the refs, or as a team we didn't play well. It is 95% his fault that they tied it and then they lost.
No, yeah.
Without that, they had the lead. You can play with the lead, play a little defensive, whatever.
It really is.
Goes in your favor. They could have easily won that, but he lets them tie, gives them momentum because all of a sudden you're like, we didn't try, but we scored, so.
All of a sudden it's a tie game. 8 minutes left. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
And Providence did come out with the win. So, but speaking about college hockey, Quinnipiac had some major breaking news. Yeah. Major breaking news coming out of Q30 reported it first with Maury Horsch-Gordon. Rick Seeley, Quinnipiac women's ice hockey coach, is out after the team's most successful season in program history.
Wow.
Which is crazy because this seemingly came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he's just gone. So what I was talking to a source of mine earlier today, and he said that in the game against Harvard, one of the Quinnipiac players came off the ice after a line change, and Seeley grabbed a player by like the collar and pulled her close and said, hey, you need to play better, pick it up. I don't know what he said, but I'd imagine it'd be something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
The Harvard fan sitting behind the Quinnipiac bench saw it and reported it.
Wow.
And the school went into a whole investigation. And when I had found out about it, a writer for student media here texted me asking if I had known or heard anything. So I heard from a player that it was in fact true, and he was gone. And I was like, whoa, what?
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy. Because one, I don't think just a tugging of the jerseys that bad.
I was going to say that too.
I have an undisclosed source from the York Hill Shuttle that he's got I guess he's got a bad reputation with the players, and that he's very aggressive, and that once somebody messed up on a drill and he sort of like slap shot a puck at them. Didn't hit them and they didn't notice, but they're like the other kids on the team saw it and like, yo, what was that? So I think there's a little bit of a tension going on there. I think maybe it wasn't just like he grabbed them and they fired him. I think it was a build-up.
Yeah.
That might make sense, yeah.
Yeah. One of the players on the team that I was talking with, actually I've heard this from more than one player on the team, has said that Rick isn't exactly their most favorite person on the earth. I mean, obviously you'll play for your coach, and you should, but just, off the ice and as a person, they said that they weren't really huge fans of him. But to have him get fired.
They must have lodged complaints too, or once they launched the investigation into the Harvard thing, that some of the players were like, whatever about him, and so they're like, yeah, I guess we should let him go then.
Yeah, are we even sure he was fired?
He resigned.
Yeah,
he resigned.
I think he resigned. Yeah,
I just pulled it up.
Right,
but obviously it's most likely stemming from such said investigation.
Right. And it's kind of sad. We were just talking about the Wisconsin coach making comments, and now you have Quinnipiac have the best season in the program history.
Yeah.
26 wins. They just went so far. Unfortunately, they just couldn't managed to beat Harvard ever. But still, it was a fantastic year. 26 wins.
Yeah.
Wow.
Chelsea Layden was fantastic in goal. TT Sanfrano scored a ton of goals. This team was really,
Very
really
good.
good.
Right.
And now, I wouldn't say all of it's diminished, but people now have like raised eyebrows because all of a sudden the coach is gone.
Yeah.
So, kind of sucks.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Very unfortunate.
I mean, it's not like the players did anything wrong.
Yeah, it's weird. It wasn't like it was like a recruiting violation or forging documents or something about academics. It was like a physical altercation type of scandal, which I feel like is worse.
Yeah.
You shouldn't ever have to deal with that
Yeah.
as a player. You don't want to be like afraid that your coach is going to hit you or like
Right.
throw a puck at you or anything. You don't want to have to like play with that. So
Right.
it's even worse that way.
Yes.
I mean, I can understand if it's like a coach like coming up to you like personally, like the collar thing. I don't, like you said, I don't find that to be that big of a deal. If he's trying to like pump you up or get you in the game, be like, hey, get your head out of your butt or whatever, and try to get in the game. But like, as far as like as far as hitting a puck at somebody or something like that, or throwing something at someone, that's a little too far.
No,
Yeah.
I agree. It's kind of concerning just because I feel like nowadays so much has changed. Kind of like
Right.
how parenting has changed.
Right.
How
Yeah.
you can't do certain things as a parent now that happen
Right.
to us because like that's abuse now.
Yeah.
I feel like the same thing applies to coaches. I wouldn't say I was abused when I played high school
Right.
basketball, but I was yelled at and
Discipline.
screamed at.
Yeah,
it's discipline.
Yeah.
Coaches like they get caught up in the moment. They'll yell at you if you mess up. They don't like throw punches, but they'll like grab you by the shirt and be like,
Yeah.
"Get in the game."
Yeah.
It's not like
I've had my-
part of the sport.
Yeah, I've had my coach tug on my jersey
Yeah.
whenever I did something wrong and he
Yeah.
needed to talk to me.
Yeah.
So, obviously, we don't know the full details of the situation yet, but based on just from the early reports from Q30 and QBSN,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure exactly what was going on that led
Yeah.
him to resign, but we'll see.
It must have been like very physical of a grab and pull for like a parent to be like an opposing team parent to report it. Because if it was like he just grabbed them sort of gently and like turned them, it must have been like a yank. But we don't
Yeah.
know, so I don't want to
Yeah.
speculate too
I mean,
much.
I'll see what happens. I was talking with a friend from QBSN, and they're working on a story.
Oh yeah.
And that's all I'll say at this point. But they're working on it, so hopefully that'll have a little more details as to what was really going on. But some good news in Quinnipiac sports: the men's ice hockey team had both Matthew Pekka and Dan Federico signed deals with the AHL.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool. Pekka was drafted by the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah.
And on April 1st, Steve Yzerman announced that they had signed him. It's a 2-year deal for Pekka, and they assigned him to the Syracuse Crunch. And he actually, in his second game with the Crunch, he got his first point. He
Yeah, he's got an
assisted
assist.
on the what was at the time the game-tying goal. So,
Wow.
I mean, that's pretty exciting. Go from playing for the Bobcats to playing for the Crunch, and your first point, you assist on the game tire. Unfortunately, they went on to lose that game, but you don't really need to know that part.
Yeah.
He's a +1 rating right now, so
Yeah,
I mean
well-
their season's probably over. I'm
They're
pretty
going.
sure, but-
They'll be making the playoffs.
Oh, okay, so
And-
he's got more time to shine.
Yes, he does. And Dan Federico also signed a AHL deal, and it's interesting because I looked up these AHL teams, and it turns out that they could potentially play each other in the semifinals, or maybe the Eastern Conference Finals, yeah, which would be the semifinals. So Dan Federico signed with the Penguins minor league team, the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins.
So
Yep.
how long has he been on the team? I'm assuming a couple of years. So he knows Hartzell. I'm sure he played with Eric Hartzell.
Oh, yeah,
who's
yeah.
Who's going to be on the same team?
Yeah. Yes.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
I
that
like
would.
them.
Yeah. So Federico, great season, defenseman, co-captain, probably one of the better known players. He was one of the best defensive players for the last couple of years, like in ECAC overall. But the Pekka and Federico could face off in the Eastern Conference Finals if both teams make it
that'd be
that
so
far.
Wow.
So how cool would that be?
That would be awesome.
A month earlier, you guys are playing on the same
Yeah,
team,
now you're playing against each
vying
other.
for a national championship.
That's so cool.
And then a month later, you guys are foes, and it makes sense. Pekka's the forward, Federico's the defenseman. Who's
Yeah,
going
so
to win?
they're gonna
Yeah.
go- Their
So-
coach better put like their lines out together, like match them up
Right.
because
So,
they know each other well.
yeah, that'd be so funny if that works out. And I'm sure they would love it too. A little competition aside from, just playing against each other in practice. So, good news for Quinnipiac Ice Hockey, bad news for Quinnipiac Ice Hockey.
Right.
But, bittersweet. We'll see how it goes. So, I think that pretty much wraps up the college sports now.
Everything college is sort of ending. So
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, college baseball's picking up.
but
A
lot of people follow that.
Quinnipiac had a game last week, and Coach Delaney, who's in his first year, I guess just really wanted to play. It was the home opener at the QU baseball field, which isn't exactly the finest field in baseball. You've seen it.
Yeah.
And it was after all the snow,
Oh yes.
and then it's raining, pouring rain, and they finally called it after 5 innings, and it was freezing. But, Quinnipiac baseball, they're actually not doing too bad, which is nice.
Yeah, I mean they're under 500.
No, they're over. In league, I believe, in MAC play. But,
Yeah.
which is,
overall they're not.
yeah, well,
But
you win some, you lose some.
yeah, but it was a lot worse
Win a
the past
few,
few
lose
years.
more.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take it.
Yeah. So there's also basketball and hockey, which are both winding down.
Yeah.
And there's so many races, so many teams vying for so few spots. Your Bruins kind of collapsed. My Nets could potentially collapse.
They're not going to, though.
You got this.
Yeah, they got this, bro.
Yes.
I'm telling you.
It's possible that no one we like will make it. Obviously, the Rangers did. They
No,
won
but
the.
my Celtics are in the 7th spot. So
Oh, well,
With the Nets loss, they could clinch.
let's be real. The
yeah,
Celtics.
then they're gonna face the Cavaliers.
Yo, sweep them. Yeah.
Like
Sweep them
who was it?
straight,
Brandon
16
Jennings
wins.
said back when he was
Oh.
on the Bucks going against the Heat, and Jennings said that they were going to sweep the Heat.
Never ever say you're gonna sweep
Why?
a team. You will lose
Especially
100% of the time.
when you're that much worse.
Yeah.
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 Like, was that the 1-8 matchup? It was.
Yeah, it was. It
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
It was the 1-8.
Because it was our freshman year, and I knew nothing about basketball, and you were like, "Yo, this dude's talking about this." I'm like, I don't know what's happening. Yeah.
Brandon Jennings trash talks LeBron,
Yeah.
saying his Bucks. The Bucks haven't been good in so long. They're not even good now. The only
They're a
reason we're
500
talking about
team.
them is because they play in the Eastern Conference.
That's right.
They should not
Yeah.
be in the playoffs.
They shouldn't be in the playoffs. I mean, but
mean,
last
they
year they
would make
did
it in the
though.
West.
They did have the worst record last year.
They had what?
did 12. Oh, was it 15?
Something like that.
Oh
yeah.
wow, yeah.
So, props to Jason Kidd
yeah.
for turning that around.
I'm telling you. But still, though, they're not going far. They're not going to. Yeah.
Absolutely not. Right now, they'd be
Raptors.
the 6 going up against the Raptors.
Yeah.
Easy win.
Raptors would take that, I would think,
Absolute-
in 5, 6,
yeah.
6 at most.
Yeah. Point guard matchup. Lowry beats that. Anthony Kupo is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. That's GG.
This entire Eastern Conference, we've known it's a
trash.
joke for the
Quite
past
some time.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
But you look at the top teams in the East,
Yeah.
other than even the Hawks. The Hawks, they look like a lock to get to the 60-win mark, and then they got hurt, and then they got injured, and now they only got there with 2 games to go.
Yeah.
When it looked like they were going to get there with 2 weeks to go. Like, they were going to be a threat to win maybe 65, 66
Yeah.
games.
That's true.
And then they just tailed off. The Raptors have tailed off.
The
Yeah,
Wizards
The
too.
Wizards have been
Yeah.
awful
They've been
recently.
playing so bad.
They have... How?
Yeah.
Really good team.
Yeah.
Right now the Cavs are locked into that 2 seed, and
I was just
far and
gonna
away,
say-
I would say the Cavs are the best team in the East.
Oh yeah, I was just about to say. As of late, the Cavs have been playing really good ball. I think right behind them. I mean, I hate to say it, but the Spurs have been playing some really good ball too, dude.
They've been turning it on,
They just crept into that 2 spot.
and they were 6.
They were
6th.
What? That's insane.
And then no fooling around, I guess.
Yeah.
Because Greg Popovich, they just turned it around completely. Tony Parker's playing a lot better,
Yeah, that's true.
so that helps.
And it's so weird because I feel like this whole season we've been looking at like the Atlanta Hawks dominate the East. We've also been looking at Golden State and Memphis dominating the West. Like the 1-2 is Golden State Memphis. Now like Hawks fine, but they've been playing like trash. Golden State's been the same.
Yep.
But now Memphis is in the 5th
All of a
spot.
sudden, they're dropping.
Yeah, and it's insane. I mean, it's crazy, man. The race for the West. Do you think that the for the seeding in the West is more interesting than who's going to get the last 2 spots in the East?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Because the Western matchups are actually going to be good.
And it's going to be very exciting
Yeah,
to
it
watch.
doesn't even matter who gets in the East; those 2 teams are going to lose.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. In the
It doesn't
Western
matter.
Conference, seeds almost like
They keep changing.
In the East, the seeds don't matter. because the Cavs are going to win no matter what.
Right.
So it doesn't matter who's 3, 4, 5. Cavs are going to win.
Yeah.
The Western Conference seeds don't matter because you have a team like the Rockets in the 6th seed.
Yeah.
Who could beat the Clippers.
Yeah, exactly.
I can see that.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely see that.
That's what I'm saying. It's all about now. It's all about specific player matchups now. Like which team's better at playing against the other team. I mean, do you think? Okay, here we go. Do you think New Orleans or Oklahoma City is gonna make that A spot, dude?
I would like. It's tough because I want to see Anthony Davis make it.
Right.
But at the same time,
I want
Russell Westbrook to be rewarded.
Yeah.
Because he is an animal.
I'm telling you, man, it's insane. Now, right now, the Pelicans are playing the T-Wolves. They're up on them. Their next game is against the Spurs, right? Now, Oklahoma City, on the other hand, who are they playing?
They're playing Portland. They're up by 6 right now in the first quarter.
Oh, so if OKC and the Pelicans win tonight, they're still deadlocked at that,
Yep.
where they are now. Now,
Thunder would play the Timberwolves.
Oh,
so you'd
my
have to
gosh.
give them the advantage there.
And then the Pelicans play the Spurs.
Yep.
OKC
Now,
wins that match.
But are the Spurs going to play everybody? Do you think Greg Popovich really cares about seeding that much over players' health?
I didn't
We've
think about
seen
that.
time and time again. Greg will rest his players whenever.
That's true.
That game against the Heat in Miami,
That's
nationally
right.
televised. He sat everybody.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that.
So it's possible that he'll just say, hey, playoffs are more important. We're making it no matter whether we win or lose. I'm just going to sit Parker, Duncan, Ginobili, etc.
Yeah.
Plus, they know. I'm pretty sure they know who they're going to end up playing. Like if the 7th seed wasn't set and it could be anybody, they could try to either play them all to make it in their favor to put the right team that they think they have a better advantage of.
Yeah.
But I think since they know who it is, I think they'll just chill out.
Josh, who would you say would be your most favorable first round matchup? What's the most exciting matchup that you could see watching? Actually sitting down and watching a game on television.
I would go if the seeding ended like it would today.
Yeah.
With the Pelicans getting the 8.
Yep.
I'd actually go. I think I'd go Clippers Rockets.
Yep.
The 3-6 matchup.
That's what I thought too. That's so much fun to watch.
Just because you have
healthy Blake Griffin.
Yes, you have Chris Paul, who's third maybe best point guard in the league.
Yeah, according to your.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that. And then you have Howard's back.
Yep.
You have obviously Harden. Who's going to be a front runner for the MVP.
Yeah.
I think that would be my most interesting matchup. Just because those teams have been playing real good basketball. The Rockets roster.
I know.
It really isn't that great.
Yeah, Patrick Beverly. Well, no, he's hurt though.
He's hurt.
So who's starting?
They have
Pablo
Rockets
Prigioni.
Have so many injuries.
I'm telling you. But I do like the. Okay, so in that matchup of DeAndre Jordan v. Dwight Howard, who do you have winning that matchup? Who's dominating more in the paint? Who's getting more buckets? Who's getting more rebounds?
It's tough. Howard's been out for a while.
That's true.
So, you have to question, 1, the chemistry, and 2, just, how in shape is he?
Right.
Yeah, he's soft.
Yeah. According to Kobe.
He's quoting a parody on Bleacher Report from Frozen that featured Kobe Bryant. Nice little animated piece. That was actually pretty funny. But, I don't know. It's tough. I think the Rockets kind of rely on Dwight more than the Clippers rely on DeAndre.
Yeah.
Jordan kind of just cleans up the boards.
Yeah.
And when Blake's playing, his numbers aren't as eye-popping. When Blake had that staph infection in his elbow, DeAndre Jordan was putting up 20 and 20.
My gosh.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
Which is
insane.
incredible, yeah.
Yeah.
But now that Blake's back, he doesn't really have to do that. Now he's just there for the occasional alley-oop and knock somebody over.
Post play and
yeah.
That's pretty much it. No, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, who do you like out of the Western Conference? Because I feel like you could pick and provide arguments for so many teams.
That's what I'm saying. I want Golden State because they've earned it, man. That team is insane. And, I know you said we get to this, but your other article that you wrote about, the MVP race and whatever, but even though you talked about James Harden and saying how, he should be the MVP because he's the most, reliable player on the team and stuff like that, but your argument on why Steph Curry shouldn't get it is because the Golden State Warriors have other pieces on that team that make that team great. If Steph Curry doesn't go off for 30, etc., Klay Thompson can, or, Draymond Green can, or Andrew Bogut can clean up, and, stuff like that. So I think that team collectively, they have a great bench scoring. Their starting five is amazing. They're really fun to watch. And their arena, Oracle Arena, man, when Steph Curry hits those threes, the crowd really gets into it.
Best home court advantage in the NBA.
So I really see the Golden State Warriors. They can go far. They've earned it. They've deserved it these past few years. Like, they've been in playoff contention. They've been, in the running and stuff like that. So I really want Golden State to go. I know a lot of people are saying San Antonio is like the dark horse because they've been playing like really well as of late. But I mean, I don't know. Like the classic argument: age, time. Can Tim Duncan still play up to level? Can Ginobili can play up to his level? Can Kawhi Leonard break out again? Can Tony Parker stay healthy? A lot of questions over that. Clippers, love them. Portland, love them. Memphis, they're all good contenders, especially Houston. I kind of don't see Dallas making it far, and I don't see New Orleans and Oklahoma City getting far.
Right, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
The Clippers, I feel bad just because Chris Paul's never experienced a conference final.
Oh, right.
And he's getting up there in age.
Yeah, man.
He's getting up there.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's time to panic if you're CP3.
Yeah.
But, you're starting to run out of time, and
we don't want to see another Steve Nash.
Exactly. In the next couple of years, your production is going to start going down.
Yep.
So win now, please.
Yeah.
Because you are probably one of the best players who's had very little playoff experience at this point. So that's why I want to see the Clippers. The Warriors, like you said.
Yeah.
I feel like that's America's team right now.
Yeah,
Everybody's rooting for them. And, I mentioned in that piece that Steph Curry is the most popular player in the NBA. And, most people think, LeBron. Steph Curry actually beat LeBron in All-Star votes.
That's right.
For the All-Star game.
Glad.
So
yeah.
That's kind of a change of scenery, for the past several years since LeBron joined the league when he was, 18 years old?
Yeah.
He's been that face of the NBA, and all of a sudden Steph Curry's coming in. And I think what people like about Curry as opposed to LeBron is that Curry just pulls up from anywhere and everywhere. Yeah. And he's quick, he's nimble.
He's not super cocky.
Yeah. I also think he's the underdog, too. A lot of people said to him, he's too small, and, his shooting form wasn't good. And he's the type of person who just, worked so hard at it. And, I mean, look where he is now. He led this team to 65 wins in the Western Conference, a beast Western Conference, Yeah. Steve Kerr, man, talk about falling into really good position.
Like you said, I mean, Steph Curry coming out of Davidson, NBA scouts are saying, don't draft this guy. He's too small. He's too thin. He's not strong enough.
Yeah.
The shooting game won't translate to the NBA. Cough, cough, Jimmer Fredette.
Yeah.
And it'll be a waste, not a waste of a pick, but you could draft better.
Right.
Imagine if he went one more spot. Who had the spot after the Warriors in that draft? The New York Knicks. Imagine if Curry had played in the Big Apple.
But the Knicks would have squandered it anyways.
They would have found a way.
Yeah.
They would have.
And they would have just traded him to somewhere else, probably Golden State.
He would have been in the trade for Andrea Bargnani.
Yeah. Right.
Knicks acquire Andrea Bargnani for Steph Curry.
Oh my gosh.
But the Warriors, two incredible stats here. One, they're 37-2 at home.
Wow.
They have lost 2 games at home.
That's insane.
All season.
I wonder what the loss margin has been.
2 games.
Yeah, that's
which
insane.
is incredible. Second stat. We talk about how talented and good and competitive this Western Conference is.
Yeah.
If you look at the standings, the Warriors have a 10.5 game lead on the Spurs. 10.5 game lead.
That's crazy. I mean, they've deserved it. They've earned it, definitely. And what's great though? Yeah, okay, you can say the Atlanta Hawks are their record is the best record in the Eastern Conference, but the best team in the Eastern Conference is still the Cavaliers.
Yes.
Yeah. So just say if Golden State and Cleveland went to that final would be very interesting to watch. It'd be super exciting to have a finals game in Oracle Arena. Oh my goodness, that place would be insane.
I just looked it up. Their 2 losses came against the Bulls and the Spurs. They lost to the Spurs by 13.
Oh, okay.
But they lost to the Bulls by 2 in overtime.
Oh.
So really they only lost once at home.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So that's some home court advantage right there.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, it's unbelievable what the Warriors have been able to do. And, like I said, this kind of leads into the MVP talks, and I guess we can talk MVP in more standings. The reason I had James Harden as my favorite for MVP was, you look most MVP, most valuable player.
Right.
It's not best player who is probably best player on the planet, still LeBron James, I would say. It's not best player on best team, Steph Curry. It's not player putting up best numbers, you could argue like Anthony Davis,
right,
averaging a double-double with however many blocks he's getting. It's most valuable player, and I take that as most valuable player to his team.
Right.
So the reason I have James Harden is because all these other players have, a sort of sidekick, for lack of a better term, that they can rely on. So Steph has Clay.
Right.
Warriors have a ton of guys, but I would think Clay's the number 2.
Right.
Chris Paul has Blake Griffin.
Right.
LeBron James has Kyrie Irving.
Mm-hmm.
James Harden has Dwight Howard.
But
oh wait, Dwight Howard hasn't even played in 40 games this year because he's been hurt. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I looked up a stat because I thought this would be interesting. In games where they scored 20 or fewer than 20 points, what the team's record is. So, you said, Curry can have an off game. Chris Paul can have an off game.
Right.
Their teams can still win. So, in games when James Harden scores fewer than 20 points, this was as of, I don't even remember when, April 9th. So these stats are accurate as of the 9th. The Rockets are 7-9 when James Harden scores fewer than 20. Okay?
Right.
2 games under 500. When Curry scores under 20, the Warriors are 19-5.
Yeah.
Plus 14 when Curry scores fewer than 20. The Cavs, when LeBron scores fewer than 20, are 10-6. And then since Chris Paul doesn't even average 20 points, I decided to do when Chris Paul scores fewer than 10. And even when he scores fewer than 10, the Clippers are 5-1.
Right.
So with those 3 players, they can score significantly less than their season average.
Right.
And their teams are still finding ways to win.
And I think you documented really well when you said, I think in your article, you described each player that's in the candidacy. Like Russell Westbrook, would you say is the most entertaining player?
Yeah.
Steph Curry is like the most popular player, or I forgot what you had said. But like you said, James Harden, that role of him being the most valuable player is true. Absolutely, you're 100% right. And I thought about who the MVP race, who would be the MVP of the league. And you broke it down very systematically, and I believe it, 100% true, that James Harden definitely is the MVP.
Right, yeah. You look at this roster, and like we had just mentioned a couple minutes ago, it's not that great of a roster.
No.
And then you consider the injuries. So you have Dwight, who's been out a lot of the year.
Yeah.
Patrick Beverley's done for the season.
Right.
Montejunas done for the rest of the season.
Right.
Yeah. So, who else on this team stands out?
Yeah.
Josh Smith is a statistical anomaly, and he shoots under 30% from basically everywhere on the floor, and he just loves to chuck threes all day.
What are you doing?
Yeah. So you have him. Pablo Prigioni is nothing.
That's an empty roster spot.
Jason Terry is 37 years old.
Why are you playing basketball?
Jason Terry 10 years ago, fine.
Yeah.
But Jason Terry now, no. Trevor Ariza has been very good. That Trevor Ariza James Harden duo has actually been great, especially from 3. Corey Brewer's not a scorer. He's more defensive. He'll slash. He had that crazy 51-point game, but most of that was dunks and layups. That was upsetting.
Yeah.
Then you have guys Clint Capella,
who?
Joey Dorsey,
who?
Nick Johnson,
who?
They got KJ McDaniels, who's an athletic freak from the Sixers.
Meh.
Yeah. And, Terrence Jones is somewhat talented.
Right.
But I think the Rockets easily have the worst roster
absolutely
out of the players that have a chance at the MVP award, by far.
Yeah. Harden more or less puts the team on his back.
Oh, absolutely.
Compared to everybody else, where they can put half the team on their back and give it the rest to everybody else.
100%. Definitely.
Yeah, so if you look at Harden and Ariza have actually, I believe the stat is they've combined to make the most threes and assist on the most threes, I think the stat is.
Yeah.
So as a duo, the top 3 duos for 3-pointers made are obviously Steph and Clay.
Yep.
And then a surprising one is Damian Lillard and Wes Matthews.
Oh, I like Wes Matthews, yeah.
Which is kind of surprising.
Yeah, he's injured.
Now he's done, yeah. But then third was James Harden and Trevor Ariza.
Wow, I would never have thought of that.
Exactly, right?
That's
you don't really think of either of them as 3-point snipers.
No.
But they kind of have been. And then some more evidence for James Harden being your league MVP. Here are the categories that he leads in. Wins above replacement, win shares, value added, estimated wins added, and offensive real plus minus. So if you don't know what those stats mean,
advanced statistics,
and you're reading my article, brewcrewsports.com.
That plug though.
There are hyperlinks there. It'll take you to a page that'll kind of break it down a little bit.
That's cool.
But basically what these stats are trying to determine is how a player's performance sort of affects whether the team wins or loses, and how much, how many wins a certain player, i.e. James Harden, how many wins are like he's responsible for, I guess you could say.
Right.
So, and P.S. he's only missed one game.
James Harden?
This entire season.
Wow,
so
I didn't even know that.
He's been super healthy.
Wow. And back to your point about like players and their sidekicks. I mean, I'm looking at all the teams like in playoff contention, stuff like that. Like Golden State, like you said, Klay Thompson. Well, that whole team basically. San Antonio, Tony Parker, Kawhi Leonard, Tim Duncan. Boom, you have 3 stars right there. The Clippers, Paul, Griffin, Jordan. Would you say Jordan's the third scorer? I guess the third go-to guy.
Yeah, I would say Redick before Jordan.
Oh, that's true. Right.
Just because they don't look like Jordan doesn't get plays other than the alley-oops.
Right. Yeah.
They'll run Redick off screens for threes.
Right. Memphis, I'd go Gasol.
Three-headed monster.
Yeah, Gasol, Randolph, Conley.
Yeah.
Then Houston, you would say, Harden, Howard, but Howard's not been there.
Yeah.
So then Dallas, you have Nowitzki, Parsons, Chandler,
a little bit.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, Monte Ellis. Yeah. So I won't put New Orleans in that category because no. And then OKC, they would have had Westbrook and Durant, but at the same time I know.
Season.
Yeah. But still, you have Enes Kanter, who's been playing like pretty good for them, I guess. Dion Waiters, I can't stand that guy, but Steven Adams is pretty good too. And then even if you look in like the Eastern Conference as well, Washington, you have Bradley Beal, John Wall, Marcin Gortat. Toronto, you have DeRozan, Lowry, Valanciunas, Amir Johnson. Cleveland, James Irving. You know what I'm saying? So back to your point originally, James Harden, he has no support from other star players. All his other players are all role players.
It's all on him. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and he's not averaging close to a triple-double, but he's approaching triple-double territory.
Definitely.
And what surprises me are his assist numbers.
Yeah.
Like, I never thought of James Harden as that good of a passer, but he's been facilitating like crazy. I have 3 little vines attached to the article, and the Rockets run this play pretty frequently, and it always seems to work. James Harden, he plays the 2, but he's almost always bringing the ball up. And I think the downfall of the Rockets in the playoffs is going to be that, because teams are going to pressure him from the inbound, and they're going to hit him, run into him, force him to run, and I think James Harden's going to get tired, and that's going to play a role in like fourth quarter, late in games, and things like that. So I think that's where the Rockets are going to get beat, because they almost rely on Harden too much, and they just don't have someone else to step up.
Right.
So I think that's where he's going to get beat. But back to this play that they run, James Harden will bring it up, and right or left side, it doesn't matter, but they'll have one of their post players come up, and let's say he's dribbling down the right side. They'll set the screen on the right side. James Harden will go around that screen going right. They will have a shooter like a Beverly, like an Ariza, on the left wing.
Right.
The post player on the left side will just step in front of, let's say it's Ariza. They'll step in front of Ariza's defender. Now that defender is going to be playing off of him because the ball is on the opposite side of the court.
Oh, right.
So, he's going to give him space. Take a couple steps off of him. Harden just flings it over one-handed, catch and shoot. And it's working.
Yeah.
And you think teams would catch on, but as you can see, there's 3 examples of it right there. One against the Nuggets, one against the Pistons, and the third against the Bulls. And in each instance, the play works perfectly.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I remember also something about his defense.
He's had the reputation of being the worst defender in the NBA. I found that 11.5-minute video or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Of James Harden, quote unquote, playing defense. And by playing defense, I mean he either one just stood there, I think it was against the Knicks, where the Knicks got a steal or a rebound off or something, and James Harden literally just stood there with his hands up and let the players run by him and didn't move. But he would always do that thing where he would just forget where his man was, and he would lose him, and then you could see he had no idea, because when he reacted, he'd be like, oh, wait, that's my guy.
Yeah.
And then he would do the thing where he would just let guys pass by him, and he'd do that cheese where you could try to get the steal from behind.
Underneath the arm.
All the time.
Yep.
And he'd either get called for a foul, or they'd get a wide open shot, layup, dunk, whatever.
Right.
I think that got to him a little bit.
Yeah.
Because he has stepped up his defense significantly. I think he's averaging around 2 steals a game.
That's pretty good defense, yeah.
Which you don't really expect from him. And they had an article earlier this season, so I don't know how accurate the stats are now on Grantland, but they were talking about how James Harden, when he contested shots, was holding opponents to the lowest field goal percentage in the league.
So he's getting in their face.
Out of everyone.
Wow.
Even the best defenders in the league. So you think of guys like Rondo, Avery, Bradley, and others like that, solid defenders at the guard position.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, James Harden enters this discussion, and you're thinking, whoa. Or, like, is there another James Harden that got drafted? So he's been making serious strides defensively, and I think that's been pretty important to the Rockets' success this season.
Definitely. Now, do you think that the Rockets could make potentially a playoff push, get to the Western Conference Finals, maybe even the actual finals?
Actual finals, I'm going to have to say no. I just don't think that roster's talented enough.
And the West is too much.
Yeah. Especially since, like I said, they rely on Harden so much.
Right. And again, whichever team Houston plays, I mean, I'm not counting New Orleans or Oklahoma City. I'm not even counting Dallas. But the first 6 teams ahead of them, Golden State, who's their point guard? Steph Curry. San Antonio, Tony Parker. Clippers, Chris Paul. Portland, Damian Lillard. Memphis, Mike Conley. Any of these 5 point guards going up against who's their starting point guard for Houston?
Yeah.
Exactly. Boom. That other team wins that point guard matchup. And I feel like, Houston, okay, they can stack well against other teams because James Harden can put them on his back, but I don't see them making it very far. I mean, it was definitely a heartbreak what happened to them last year with Damian Lillard cuffing that 3 and sending him home in Game 6. But again, with them losing like Chandler Parsons, they have no point guard. They lost Omer Asik. Like, I just think
big defensive presence.
Yeah, so I definitely don't think that they're going to be making it very far, and it's going to be tough for them this year again.
Yeah, so I'm looking at this Western Conference, and I see 3 teams that I think are threats to win the Western Conference, and it's the top 3: Warriors, Spurs, Clippers.
Yep.
Other than that, I think every other team's good.
Yeah.
I don't think every other team has a chance to represent the West in the finals.
I definitely agree with that. I mean, Conley's been hurt as of late. I mean, Marc Gasol's been playing really well too. Zach Randolph, I don't think Memphis just has enough talent and can go very far. It'd be nice to see, but also I don't think Adam Silver will let Memphis, who's a very grit and grind team, to get to the finals.
The Grizzlies are 5-5 in their last 10 or something like that.
Since there's a stat out there since the All-Star break, I think they have the worst. I don't know, definitely not the worst record, but since the All-Star break, they've been terrible. Yeah, and they have been like losing a lot of games.
Yeah.
I don't see Dallas making it very far.
Yeah.
I mean, Rondo. Would you say he's a good fit for the team? He has been playing that well.
Yeah, especially when they first got him.
Yeah.
Their offensive efficiency ratings just plummeted.
Right.
Because, Rondo's not really a scoring threat.
Right.
And the reason they got him was, distribute the ball. But now that they had this 5th player that can't really score from the field, teams just back off. Like we saw when Rondo was back on the Celtics, and there were series in the playoffs where, like, they play the Heat or something.
Yeah.
Rondo would be on the 3-point line. The closest defender would be at the free throw line.
Yeah, daring him to shoot.
Yeah, shoot it, because he's not confident in his shot. We've seen time and time again that, he just can't find the bottom of the net. He'll have those games like any other player,
right,
where he drops 30, 40 plus. But for the most part, laying off him's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah, absolutely. But back to your point about Chris Paul, though, I do feel bad for Chris Paul. I mean, he played for the Hornets, and then now he's playing for the Clippers, and that transition to LA, now he's playing with good people. You're right, his time is running out, and I feel like it's kind of like, I'm not saying it's like finals or bust, but I mean, you're right, it's coming down to his career. He's getting a little older now. I mean, what do you think needs to happen for this team to make it to a final and win? Do they need another player on their team? Do they just need to execute more offense, more defense? What do you think needs to happen for these Clippers team to win a final?
If they could get rid of Glenn Davis, that'd be a start.
And was Austin Rivers?
And Austin Rivers.
Yeah.
Oh, did you see the video of Blake Griffin imitating Austin Rivers?
No.
It was so funny.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah, you'll have to look that up because I was dying when I saw that.
Should post it on BrewCrewSports.com.
Yeah. But and Hito Turkoglu.
Why? Yeah.
But I just really like that team. I think they mesh well together.
Mm-hmm.
Why they haven't been able to, Jamal Crawford's been injured for a significant amount of time this season.
Right.
I still think he's going to play a major role just because he's instant offense off the bench, and he's one of the most talented scorers.
Yeah.
I mean, look at his records for most 4-point plays.
Considered for 6th man of the year.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Even if with his injuries this year, I'd probably still give it to him.
Wow.
Just because
Yeah.
Dude knows how to score the basketball.
He's definitely an impact player. When he comes on the court from the bench, he can turn the game around.
And I just bought his sneakers.
Of course, yeah.
Shout out to the brand black J crossovers.
Yeah, guys, Josh can dunk now. I don't know if you knew that, but with those shoes,
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Bench play is going to be big for them. JJ Redick's, I think he's going to have to be big because when you rely on shooting a lot, sometimes you're going to have those games where you're cold.
Yeah.
And if that happens in the playoffs, that's not good because teams will take advantage. So I think JJ Redick's going to have to be on point each and every night. They run a bunch of plays for him off ball where Chris Paul will have it on one wing. And, they'll set maybe a double screen with Blake and Jordan because those are two big guys. And, JJ will have to convert. I think that's going to be one of the biggest things for the Clippers in the playoffs.
Yeah.
JJ Redick converting his threes.
That's true. All right, that's good to know. Then I'll hopefully, that happens and like they make it far because they're definitely a fun team to watch.
Oh yes, absolutely. Lob City, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of sad as we're winding down here. Just 4 minutes to go.
Oh yeah.
DeAndre Jordan's a free agent.
I know.
This season.
And please, basketball gods, do not make him go to the Knicks. Don't make his talent squander in New York.
I was about to say. There are rumors swirling.
I know
that the New York Knicks are going to be interested in DeAndre Jordan.
Why?
Now, I understand, the attractiveness of playing in New York under Phil Jackson.
Yeah.
DeAndre growing up, he said that he was a huge Shaquille O'Neal fan, and we saw how Shaq developed under Phil Jackson.
Yeah. Oh, right.
The opportunity for DeAndre himself to learn and study under Phil Jackson. That's an attractive offer.
I guess.
Playing in New York, huge market, LA, New York, or you can compare the two with like their media market size and things like that.
Right.
One of the reasons he might not go there is because he said he doesn't like the cold.
Oh, there you go.
I'm hoping he hates the cold enough.
Yeah.
He'll just say no to whatever the Knicks offer him.
Right.
Why would you leave LA?
Okay, no. Wrong question. Why would you leave Chris Paul for Shane Larkin? That's the question, okay? You're not going to be catching lobs from Shane Larkin. You're going to be catching lobs from Chris Paul.
The Knicks want to play that triangle offense, and center is the easiest position, I think, to play that triangle offense in. But like you said, the wow factor that follows the Clippers, you go to the Knicks, that wow factor is not going to be there.
Right.
And he doesn't exactly fit the defensive scheme because the Knicks play no defense.
Right.
But, why leave Chris Paul? He likes playing with Blake Griffin.
Right.
Another rumor I saw is that he might sign with the Lakers.
What?
Which I think would be PR-wise as a player, terrible move.
Why do you do that?
You couldn't do a worse thing than signing with the other team that plays in your arena. Come on,
gosh,
what are you doing?
Yeah.
He's also rumored to go to the two worst teams in the leagues,
the Lakers and the Knicks. Yeah.
I don't know why you'd want to do that.
That'd be great if there was an article where it's like Sixers making strides to pick up DeAndre Jordan.
He doesn't have.
My gosh,
he doesn't have that offensive prowess. To lead a team.
No, I don't think so at all.
Yeah. So I don't know. I really hope he stays in Los Angeles.
There's a lot of free agents happening coming up this offseason, and it'd be interesting where people go or if they stay. I know we have 2 minutes. Marc Gasol, quick. Where is he going? Is he staying in Memphis? Is he going to San Antonio?
I could totally see him in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Just because I think he has the makeup of a prototypical Spurs player.
Yeah.
In the sense that he plays all around. I don't think he's that weak in any particular area.
Nope.
Good offensively.
Yeah.
Good defensively. He rebounds. He blocks.
Good mid jumper too.
Yeah, he's very solid from mid, which is interesting because nowadays you see a bunch of bigs, extending out to three. Blake Griffin, Serge Ibaka,
right?
Guys like that.
Chris Bosh.
Yeah, exactly. So the only guys who kind of still stay within the 3-point line are LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
Marc Gasol.
Yeah.
Guys who only shoot those mid-range jumpers, and they're very, very good at it.
It's weird that you say LaMarcus Aldridge because I can also see LaMarcus Aldridge playing for the Spurs too. I mean, he has that, like you said, he has that kind of vibe to him, that stereotypical kind of makeup of him. So
yeah.
Definitely.
Overall, I think I would love to see him in a Spurs uniform because I think he fits, and I think that'd be a good fit because he passes so well. He's smart, low ego, which is what all these Spurs guys are about.
Yeah.
I don't know. Will Memphis let him walk, though?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
either.
I mean, he's built such a good relationship with Conley and Randolph that, and Tony Allen and Courtney Lee. Like, that gang is super strong. So I don't know if they let him go. But I mean, if he wants to win a championship, maybe the Spurs might be the best option, or do you think the Grizzlies were the best option?
In the Western Conference, I don't think there is a best.
That's
option.
right.
You kind of just you kind of just have to hope for the best.
Yeah,
wherever you go.
That's true.
That's all the time that we have this week. Great show today. We thank everybody for tuning in, talking some basketball, some Quinnipiac stuff. Got a little hockey in there. Baseball is going on tonight, so go watch some baseball. Yankees are on right now. They're playing the O's, so check that out. We'll be back next Monday. It'll be April 20th, which is crazy to think about. But we'll see you guys then. For Austin Basile and Jason Davis, I'm Josh Brewer. Thanks, everyone, for joining us.
Good night.
Thank you.